Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How is everybody this evening? Welcome one, welcome all to the final round, the season finale of Season 9 here in the MRS League. We are here in the glorious, the roller coaster ride that is the very sandy beach strudden Netherlands Zandvoort circuit. I hope you are all well. I hope you've enjoyed the season so far. And now we've got the final round, the season finale. It is, pretty much done, really, isn't it? Everybody's sort of finished the season. There's a few little places still to go in the standings, so I'm going to quickly bring those up before the qualifying takes place. And I am mistaken. I have really upset people. The drivers, Thomas is the champion, but Liquid Gas and Grimo very, very close. The Aston Martin's behind with Blood Diamond snapping at their heels. They're the main places, really, the top three. Still to be decided, but there's a few. Let's have a quick look at the constructors as well. That is pretty much sewn up as well for the cash apps. And then Aston Martin nailed on in second place, but again a few little bits to fight further down the order, but we're going to keep our eye on the driver standings as it unfolds this evening. 18 minutes qualifying as is usual. Good evening, Jack. Good evening, Andrew. Lovely to have you with us. Giving everybody in the chat, don't forget to hit the like button and please do join me. It's lovely to have everybody and taking part with me in this race and for this evening. So we've got Dom's the first one out on track, Liquid Gas following suit with the other Red Bull of Mike Taylor and Grimo in the Aston Martin as well. Evening, Jason. Evening, Thomas. Oh, wow. Thomas, I love the weather forecast. Really appreciate that because there is rain on the horizon. It's forecast now. Whether that's going to be qualifying or the race itself, well, we're going to wait and see, won't we, ladies and gents? But that is going to really throw the cat amongst the pigeons, definitely, because this track, difficult circuit, very tough to get right. High downforce because of the long flowing corners. But then not just that, once you get the rain involved, well, wow. This is going to be fun, isn't it? It is going to be very, very fun. And I imagine that is why we're seeing so many drivers out on circuit already. Dom is the first one on a fast lap. We'll keep with him for now. Of course, one of the most difficult, demanding circuits. One of the crowd favourites as well. A circuit that a lot of drivers do love, and it is a tough circuit. It's one I used to, despise. Let's be perfectly honest. Did not like this circuit whatsoever, but just started to grow a little bit on me. Enjoy that first sector, the first few corners, and then this little section as well at the end of the second sector. Very difficult and easy to get a little bit wrong. But Dom against purple sectors because he is the first one on track, but I think he's sort of half backed out of this one because he's only left it on the medium battery, not on the hot lap that you'd expect to see. And this is another track that's easy to use a lot of your battery around. You can easily sort of get over the banking. As you said, it's a really good opening lap. It's 11.3. We expect to see the times drop and end up in the 10s, maybe the low 10s, potentially in the 1 minute 9s. And if we do, I think that is going to be an incredible lap time and surely will put you on the front row of the grid. And Jack does a 12.4, but we know Jack likes to have a couple of warm-up laps, as Mike's done this 12.8. What's our champion? Whereas he's actually not doing what everyone else has done with the two warm-up laps. You can see he's on a hot lap. He's used a lot of his batteries so far on this lap, and he hasn't got a lot left. You can see the bottom of those two bars, the green regenerative bars, it's growing a little bit, but it's the usage that he's got left to play with for the lap. This is what I'm talking about. You could easily use the full amount of deployment through the lap, and he's using the last of it as he goes around the banking. He's going to say deployment news very soon, but the DRS is open as he just about keeps it over the line. Does a 10.4, just ahead of his teammate on a 10.6, and ahead of Monson on a 10.6.25. So really good lap times, these boys, not messing about at all. Vexman's the last one to set a lap. He is on and out lap. I hope you saw last week's race. It was a quite interesting race. A lot of really good driving through there. Jack managing to hold on and keep the tyres for that one stop where everyone else around. Wow, Jack on his second lap, a 10.2 from him. Massive, massive improvement. So that 2-lap warm-up, and Vexman doing the same thing. So we'll come back to him at some point. Is anybody else on a lap? I think a few drivers on a cool-down. So let's have a look at the man in the Ferrari. There's been a little practice session. Didn't know about this, but Jack has kindly given me results of a practice session that the boys did a little bit earlier on. And, well, times are looking pretty good. So Jack's sort of beating up Montaz Pitters. But, yeah, a few drivers doing a few laps on the mediums, which were still really good times in the Monument 12s. We've got a few drivers in the 10s as well, but Jack has beaten his previous time. Whoopsie daisy, Blood Diamond. That's not what you want to be doing through turn 2 and turn 3. Invalidating that early on in your laps. Jack, I'd imagine, is going to pit this lap. I don't do any more. But as long as he's got the tyres, and it seems to have the fuel light's not on, which we normally see during qualifying, so we could see a third lap for Jack on this set of tyres. Let's just wait and see. He's on hot laps, so let's take a ride on board. Let's roller coaster ride of Zandvoort down the start finish straight with the DRS in effect. Late braking just before the 50 board into Tarzan, turn 1, and then uses as much of the track as possible. Gets his set up for Gerlach, and then into the long hairpin of Huizenholt. And then the exit is called Hunzerug. I am absolutely butchering these names, but I hope you all enjoy it. Through this and straight, not so straight, number of corners through there, then Rob Slaughtermaker walked, and then into I can't pronounce that one. Shivlak, and then we're now going into Masters Box, and then the one, Jack gets it very, very wrong and has had to bail into the runoff area. That's not ideal for him at all. Has had to bail on that set of tyres. I think Vexman was the man on a lap, had to try to get out the way. Hopefully he didn't get upset too much. Dom has done a 1:10.5. Very, very close times. Look at that, half a second separating the top 7 drivers. Vexman yet to set a representative lap time, but let's keep our eye on the Mercedes man. He's got a lot of his battery left, so maybe this is just another sort of warm-up-ish lap from him. I think he's going to be looking at going again. The DRS wide open for him. An 11.1. So I'd imagine he'll go again, but he's just going to charge that battery a little bit more. Grimo, I think he's probably going to pit. He's done 3 laps on those tyres. He is. No DRS for him. Let's have a look. Thomas is on the mediums. He's doing his second run on those tyres. Pardon me. So it's going to be interesting to see the way the track evolves, and the track evolves hugely around here. The gains that you can have later on in the session are astronomical, but as we saw from Jack, easy to get a little bit wrong, and this turn here, turn 7, is so easy as well to get it wrong, because if you just go that little bit wide, you want to carry as much speed as possible, and it's so difficult. If you get that a little wrong, if you lose the front, even the rear can just slide a little bit on you, and then you correct in 6th, maybe 7th gear around there, and it's so tough, and you could find yourself in the gravel or backwards into one of the ever-present walls around this circuit. Not a huge amount of runoff. Jack managed to find the bit with the biggest probably runoff through turn 8. But then you got the tricky sections of turn 9, turn 10, which, again, haven't actually got corner names. Thankful, I think, for me this evening to not actually have corner names at some of these, because, yeah, I'd seem to butcher the Dutch language. I hope we haven't got any Dutch people in here this evening, otherwise I'm going to upset a few people. Either that or they'll just find it funny. Either or. We'll see. So Thomas just doing another warm-up lap on the mediums. Sort of what you'd expect to get them in the right operating window. Let's have a look who is on a lap. Monster's going for another lap on. Managed to keep it out the wall. But again, that turn 9 mentioned, it's a difficult section. You're trying to get the power down, just didn't have that rear grip, so he's had to bail on that. Doesn't look like there's any damage, luckily, to the Ferrari, so he could charge the battery as best he possibly can now, and then go again. But yeah, easy to get it slightly wrong, and that's what he did do, and just that rear complaining, really, really struggling. So that's the concerns around that middle sector, as mentioned. Even turn one, easy to outbrake yourself into Tarzan, and it can really hurt you. Same with this corner here, the second to last corner on the track, nicknamed Kumo. That is easy as well to get slightly wrong. If you go deep in there, it's going to hurt you all the way through the banking, all the way down the start-finish straight. So, tough one for a lot of the drivers. It's not an easy circuit to get right, especially lap after lap. Even when you're pushing, you can easily go wide there out of Tarzan and get this bit slightly wrong. You're lining through turn 2 into the hairpin of turn 3. Some people take a wider line. Thomas just went with a sort of a middle ground, which, to be fair, is my favourite as well. I hope everybody's well. I hope everyone's hit the thumbs up button and is enjoying this season as much as I have. If everybody gets a moment... Oh, very, very squirrely for Thomas there through turn 9. But join me in the YouTube chat, folks. Let's see, what is your favourite standout moment of the season so far? It'll be interesting to see what people think, and what people remember the most of the season. There's a lot of them, and I'm not going to lie, there's about 6 different tiers and races and leagues I'm part of, so no disrespect to anybody. If I can't remember them, I do apologise. Thomas's build on his mediums, didn't like the feel of them at all. Blood Diamond, very similar, is down on his previous time, so the medium's not quite working. Let's have a look at the other Aston of Grimo. How is he getting on? Monster's a bit nervous for it. Yeah, I can understand it's a difficult circuit to get right. You've had that moment already to sort of snap you at a bit awake, really, haven't you? In turn 9, easy to lose that rear as you just did. Grimo now starting a lap. It must have been bad. It was just maybe a bit slow on that one, but he hasn't got any of his battery left, so it's going to hurt him all the way around. So another just a slower lap for him. Vexman doing the same on the soft tyres, though. Let's go back to the Aston Jack. A little bit up through the first sector. What's he going to do through the middle sector? Lost a little bit of time, but very even to his quickest first run on the softs. And just as he's spinning again for no reason. There's always a reason behind it. Bit of throttle, maybe setup, that's just not giving that rear stability that you need. Difficult when you're in park firm, I must admit. But Jack goes even quicker on his medium tyres. A 10-0 puts a little bit of daylight between him and the chasing pack. Mike has improved. He is right behind Thomas on a 10.49. That's just over 100th slower than Thomas. Great lap, and again about a 10th, just less than a 10th quicker than his teammate. So those two looking for a good, strong result this evening. As is everybody, try and end the season on a high. Grimo's build on his mediums. What about Vexman? How's he getting on? Slightly up in the first sector. What about the middle? Good improvement. Purple for those around him, so that could be purple compared to people like Grimo, Monster, even Blood Diamond potentially, of where he is quicker than in the middle sector. How's the final sector? A lot of battery usage left. Now he hits the overtake button to get that last little bit towards the line. It's a 10.6 from him. Lot of improvement there, so bringing him back into the mix. A little bit out of sequence, though. Only 3.5 minutes left of the session already. That was a very quick 15 minutes, folks. I don't know about you, but it was for me. It's fast and furious, so I'm interested to see, as I'm sure all the drivers are, and everybody watching, see when the rain's going to come, because that's going to be a big... Oh, Vex, when I talked about turn 7. I'll tell you what, great car control to stop it from going into a wall there. That's walking him up. That'll have made him very nervous. Might go in for another warm-up lap. What about Jack? What's he doing? Slightly down on this lap. on the medium, still doing another run, but currently his fast lap is on those medium tyres. Looking a bit understeery through turn 8, but okay for him. Nice change of direction through 9 and turn 10. Leaves that inside curve well alone. Easy to spin, but he's very close to his previous best. Now if he can gain some time, but I've jinxed it. Sorry, Jack. Commentator's curse comes out. And that's his lap done. I think Mike on another warm-up, but we've got Thomas and Dom out as well. I'd imagine the rest of the drivers who are in the pit's going to be leaving very, very shortly to get to the end of the pit lane and actually get a lap under their belts. I think we've got Grimmo just leaving the pits. We have. So Mike's on the 14 on this one, but now he's going to start his final flying. The Blood Diamond there just out the way. Ooh, very, very wide line. Invalidates. Mike goes too wide into turn 3 and it manages to invalidate. That's crucial for him, but he may be able to recharge it. He will have time to get round again. Who are we going to do an onboard lap with? Who shall we see? Let's have a look. I tell you what, let's go through... Let's have a look. Who is on a lap? Monster's the last to leave the pits. I'd have a decent quick outlap, mine, to get round in time. Let's go on board with the Aston man, shall we? We see him occasionally time to time, but what can he do? Early in the season, very, very close to his teammate. Jack stepped up a little bit. Grimmo struggled, but let's see what he can do. Final race of the season, a little bit deep into Tarzan. Gets it swapped round, though, gets it turned, and then exits now through turn 2. There's turn 3 through there. What into the hairpin that we saw Mike struggle with. Turn 3, there's turn 4. That was it, believe it or not. Turn 5 coming up. That's still flat out, leaving up for turn 6. There it is. Straighten yourself up. What can he do? Drops it down to 7th. Keeps the throttle buried through turn 7. And then into Master's Block turn 8. Doesn't want to run too wide, which he doesn't. Spots his braking point nicely through there. Keeps it in 4th to stop the rear. Spinning up into turn 10. Takes that wide line, cutting it in to get the car straighter and the best possible exit. DRS in operation for the second part as he exits. He's up on his previous lap time. Bounces over the nice curve through Hans Ernst. And then now we've got the final 2 corners into Kumo. Keeps it in 5th to keep the wheel spin again. Now he's using the overtake button. The DRS inactive around the very bumpy banking. And now the run towards the line. What can Grimmo improve? It's a 10-3 up with his teammate. Great, great lap from the Aston Martin man. But Thomas is actually down on his previous time. This is going to have to be a monster final sector from Thomas if he wants to get back to the front row of the grid. He is the champion, but I'm sure it doesn't matter. He's still going to want to do well, and he does improve, but not enough. 5 thousandths of a second. Mike improves. He's in 4th. What about his teammate? His teammate, this could be a spoiler for the second row of the grid. Has he got enough battery left? That's the key point. Using a lot through the final corner. Is he going to run out? There's no battery left, but he does a 10-2, and it's into 2nd. What a lap from Dom. Front row start as it stands from him. What about Monster? He's bailed. He's at a moment somewhere, so it'll be 7th for Monster. Blood Diamond in 6th, and that is the final qualifying of the season, ladies and gents, and it's Liquid Gas. Wow, that is a great lap from him. A 10.098 from him on the medium tyres, quicker than his soft tyre run. He'll be very happy with that. He is happy. He's in the YouTube, so that was, wow, really good. He's happy to... Yeah, difficult to get in the window. It seemed that way a little bit as well. It took a few laps to get them into operating to working range, but great lap from him and you, Jack. But Dom in 2nd. He must be very, very happy with that one. I'm sure he is, to be on the front row. And then the top 8. Let's have a look. Liquid Gas, as I mentioned, on the mediums, takes pole position. That'll set him up reasonably well for the race. Dom in 2nd. Then we got Grimmo in third. The other Aston Martin lined up behind his teammate. Then Thomas, the champion, in fourth. Mike Taylor in fifth, ahead of the other Visa Casap in sixth. Then Monster in seventh, and Vexman in eighth. Only 5.5 tenths separating the grid, so really good qualifying session there from everybody. Very, very close indeed. And that is exactly what we're talking about. It's so difficult to get the tyres into that working window, but oh my goodness me, Thomas said it was going to have rain somewhere in the forecast. That is wet tyres, folks. Wow. I'm so interested to see what people have done setup-wise in order to... Wow. And I wonder how long this is going to stay, because that's heavy. I would be surprised if we got any dry running in this race. I would be very, very surprised. Have people gone with a higher setup, a higher rear setup mainly? Have they gone a bit softer maybe on the suspensions? What about the ride height? You kind of tend to run a little bit higher here because of the curbs. There's a couple that you can sort of use and bounce over a little bit. Turn 8 springs to mind. Turn 11, that springs to mind, where you can sort of bounce over that little tiny curb to help straight line those corners. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. Have they got the car high enough? Because you don't want the aquaplaning, and it does affect the cars. If you're too low in the wet conditions, the car will just slide along and aquaplane quite dramatically. But what about the wing setup? The only thing they can change is a little bit the brake bias. They can change that forward and back. They could change a bit of the brake pressure. Maybe want to loosen that up just a little bit by a couple of notches to help in the rain, to help prevent a little bit of front locking, which is pretty much inevitable, unfortunately. With that, even if you're running ABS, it does tend to lock up a little bit. But then about the front wing, they can change as well to get that extra turn in. That is going to be all important around here, because if you don't have enough, no matter how slow you go around any of these corners, you are going to understeer. Plus the undulation, this is going to be a very interesting race. So I hope everybody is comfortable. I hope everybody's sat with a drink, with a rum, or a beer, if that takes your fancy, even just water, if you're Monster. Or juice. That's absolutely cool. Doesn't matter. I just like rum. What can I say? But again, please do join me, folks, in the chat. Please do hit the like button if you haven't already. Be lovely to have you joining me. Yeah, this is going to be a very, very fun race. Everyone just sort of making their last preparations, panicking a little bit, I'm sure, because this is torrential. Already a difficult circuit, as mentioned, to get right every single lap. And now, well, the beautiful northern weather from Europe has come to bite very hard in the season finale here in MRS. Good evening, all 7 of you. Lovely to have you with us. Again, please do join us. Please do join us in the chat and hit the thumbs up button as always. We do have a few plans for next season. Hopefully we'll get ourselves streaming on the official MRS YouTube channel, where all of the races will be all in one place every single week. So look forward to getting that up and running. So don't forget, just give us a search. There won't be any videos on there so far, but please do give a follow regardless, and then you are all prepped, ready for next season. Of course, crossplay is enabled in MRS, as are many other leagues now, I know of. So we do welcome Xbox players, PC players, and as well as PlayStation. So every console is now catered for, and we love to have everybody racing with us. Now then, we have got the full wet tyres on board the Aston Martin there of Mr. Rocknian. Let's have a quick look. Is it all wet? It is full wet, and look at the spray off the back of the cars. That looks better from a distance, because I think if you look a little bit too close, it looks like something out of Minecraft. The spray is usually very pixelated. So we have not just low grip around here. This is a big, big lap of exploration for all of the drivers, because they have not done this running yet. They have probably done a lot of dry practice, maybe struggling with the wet setups. Look at that, it's saying it's going to be wet all race. Looking at the tyre, look at the strategies there and the weather forecast. Oh, it's going to be fun. Difficult to get the heat in the tyres. Saw Jack weaving a little bit there. They work on a lower range, do these tyres. You want a lower pressure to get the heat in them, but it's so difficult once you get them working to keep them working. You can just get them working in the first instant. That can be a real challenge. So I'd expect these first few laps, some people will gain confidence very quickly. Some people will really struggle, and the rain, they say rain's a big equaliser. Some people are really confident. Some people are, like myself, really struggle or can struggle in the wet conditions, I'll be perfectly honest. But each to their own, and this is going to bring out some really strong driving. What can Monster do from 7th and Vexman from 8th on the 4th row of the grid? What about Blood Diamond? Can he make his way through? Can Grimo get up there with his teammate? Jack's not being able to stop in time. Let's go through the pixelated stream. We're going to have to ride on board because the camera angle was too far back. But now, folks, for the final time this season, MRS Round 14 is lights out, and we go racing. It's a good start from Liquid Gas, but a good start as well from the Red Bull alongside Grimo. Is already under pressure from Thomas. Thomas going up the inside. He's having a quick look at the Red Bull. Is he almost nearly contact, but he's managed to get away with it. Grimo's going to try and take the outside line and manages to get the traction through, but Thomas is still there. But now Grimo's got the inside line through into turn 3. There's been a few movements and shakers further back. Vexman's had a fantastic start. He's through into 5th. Great opportunistic moment from him. Mike struggled off the line. Monsters held position. Blood Diamond, he must have got a little bit of wheel spin, but a little bit difficult through turn 1. Of course, trying to find the braking, trying to find where the grip is, but Thomas has got through on Dom as well. Fantastic run through from turn 3, and all the drivers now difficult, shaking, under braking, and a lot slower gears, lower gears that drivers are using, upshifting early to stop the car from sliding too much. Again, any kind of wheel spin. Monster is having a battle with Blood Diamond further back. Again, it's so easy to get the car spinning up, but Thomas putting Jack under pressure already. Jack goes very deep into turn 11, and that's going to allow Thomas to close up. No DRS is going to be enabled. Jack really struggling for traction because Thomas now, don't forget he started on 4th. Oh, a little bit of contact. There's been another little rub as well. Thomas is still trying to keep it on the outside, round the bank, and trying to take the outside line, trying to hold it round, and he's got the better drive on the high line. And I think there's a bit more contact. Let's go right on board. There's Thomas. Jack's on the inside. Who's going to be late to the break? Can they get the car stopped? Jack gets the car stopped on the apex and keeps the lead of the race just about. Monster's had a spin somewhere. He's struggling for grip. He's struggling for traction. I know he's not really a big fan of the wet weather conditions, so it's not what he would have wanted this evening. But I tell you what, Thomas, the drive he gets through off turn 3 is absolutely astronomical. Really had a look at Jack. Jack going very sideways through turn 7, but not quite. But Thomas keeps the low line and does there might have been a bit of contact. Jack snaking off the grass, managed to keep it in a straight line. That could have ended in tears very easily. And the man in second place, but everyone very close. Mike's on the back of Vexman. There he is. We're going to have to do a lot of on-boards, I think, tonight, folks, to see through the spray. Because, look at that from Mike. Struggling for grip. He thought he was in the straight line, but it didn't matter being in the straight line. Now everyone just got to be that little bit patient round these, because it's all about the traction. A few cars getting snaky. Dom as well. Look at the car moving around. They look at the steering wheel. The steering wheel was in dead straight line. The car was definitely not. And it's just about keeping concentration, keeping focus, picking the line. Thomas has got through on Liquid Gas. We missed that, and Liquid Gas had a big moment somewhere. Now he's dropped to over a second behind. Thomas really set up well for the wet weather conditions. His car does look good. It does look very quick. Maybe running a bit higher in terms of rear downforce to help get that overall rear grip for the traction. helping get the car turned with a front end grip as well with the wing. We just don't know setups, do we? You can go a little bit lighter on fuel as well in the wet conditions because you're doing a little bit more lifting and causing braking a good bit earlier than you would normally do in the dry. Because this track can be quite a killer on fuel because of the high speed nature of it. But Jack seems to be struggling a little bit. Look at the cars drifting through turn 9. I was trying to get the power down. Dom just dropped off the back a little bit. I'm going to assume we're going to see these gaps ebbing and flowing quite substantially when they're all so close. Look at that. You've got Grimo kind of getting out of the slipstream there of the Red Bull just so you can see. Because, yes, if we go on board, there he is, there's Grimo. When we're at high speed, even though you may be using this TV cam, a lot of drivers do, it's going to be difficult to see. You can see at this moment in time, but it's still turbulent air. Look at the car moving around. But as you start getting a little bit closer, look at where Vexman is, for example. He's had to move out because the spray was just too much for him. And he is having to hold station at this moment. Liquid Gas has closed that gap down now to 0.6 of a second, pulling away from Dom a little bit on this lap. And I expect to see that's what we'll see. A lot of ebbing and flowing throughout this stint. I'm saying it's a one stop, so expect drivers to pit around about lap 18. And if the rain does seem to go down a little bit, it does seem to ease. Oh, Jack's struggling, scrambling, not just front grip, but rear grip as well. The car's sliding around, but once you sort of get used to that, and you realise where you can get the car drifting, get it car going, it is a slower way around. But, oh, Dom's left the session. Oh, no, Dom. Go on board with him. He hasn't ghosted yet. Unless ghosting's actually turned off in this league, I'm not actually aware. Sorry folks, I had a phone call then. I don't normally get that. But Grimo and Dom watch. Grimo is through. Dom, of course, left the session. Hopefully he can get back in and retake control of his car. Blood Diamond had a big moment, I think, out of turn 1 and allowed Vexman through. Mike on the back as well. So this is a good start for Vexman from 8th on the grid. Monster in clean air, just trying to do what he can. Don't forget, as long as you finish, you get points. That is crucial, and it could be very, very key come the end of the race, in the end of the championship standings. But because of Dom running a little bit slower in AI mode, if he has left the session, then it's allowed the top two to get a 4.5 second gap. But now it's down to Grimo. What can he do about that gap? That's going to be far enough away for him to be able to get cleaner air. And you'll see what the cars... It's sort of close enough to see what the cars ahead, how they're behaving, but... yeah, far enough away to not be hampered really by some of the spray. But you can see that racing line is starting to form, and if we go on board with the Aston Martin, the rain is definitely easing up. So the interesting part of that is, when's it going to stop? Is it going to stop? Are we then going to see? I tell you what, I mentioned it and we've already got it. Let's keep our eye. Thomas has pitted. I was about to say, is it going to be a crossover to intermediate tyres? And Thomas has done it. Thomas has gone already to the inters. That could be crucial, absolutely critical for the race. Now then, are we going to see Jack follow suit? What about Grimo? Jack's in the middle sector. We're going to keep our eye on the gap that Thomas has got to Blood Diamond, but the rain's definitely stopping. The line has formed. This is where the wets are not... Oh, Dom's back in the session. Thank goodness for that. He'll be very pleased, he'll be relieved. Maybe Blood Diamond and Mike won't be. But Thomas really closing in on them. He's gained a good second already. But we're just going to keep our eye. Rather than that little battle, we're going to keep our eye on our race leader. Is he going to follow suit and go to the pits and follow him? He is. Our leader now then. Jack's pitted. He's got a decent gap to his teammates. Teammates kept on going though, so he's going another lap. Vexman's also still going. Mike is pitting. Blood Diamond, thought about it, but he's kept going. Dom's had to stay out, but Thomas is the man who's absolutely flying now. That racing line that has formed, you can see it now. This is going to be so key. Well, Thomas has gone through, and he has jumped Liquid Gas, he's actually gained quite a bit of time on that lap, that outlap that Thomas has gained. Wow, he's gained about 2.5 seconds so far. So that undercut really worked, and he'll know where the grip is. Don't forget, he'll have a bit more confidence than Jack will. And I think in these conditions, 1 lap difference in tyre wear doesn't really make a difference at all. Because you can easily do a lap of in the intermediate tyres and not gain any sort of tyre wear at all. Jack pushing as quickly as he can to get not just get the heat in the tyres, but feel where the grip is and close that gap that he has lost. Now then, is Grimo going to follow suit? The time that these gents have lost, well, you can see in the track map further down your screens, folks, because there's Grimo where the number 3 was, and coming through the hairpin just below that, there are the people who are pitted. There, so the leaders who are pitted. Grimo is now following suit. Will Vexman, or will he take a chance and stay out? Or is it... No, he is staying out. Blood Diamond does pit. Dom stays out. So they're just thinking, okay, maybe not yet. Maybe there's going to be... But Thomas has set the fastest lap of the race. You could see it coming a little bit, couldn't you? The way he was going. But with the rain this little bit lighter, I think Inters is a good call. I think it's the best tyre, but I do not blame Vexman, Dom and Monster, who had to pit early, may have had wind damage. He's had to pit, don't forget, so I don't blame them for staying out at all. I think it was a good move to do it because they're hoping that it actually stops raining and we go to slicks a lot quicker, so the Inters are still behind them. And that delta isn't too big, but it doesn't look like the rain's going to stop at this moment in time. It's all about the gaps. The gap with Liquid Gas and Thomas is stabilised around 3.5 seconds, which we saw when he started. There is a yellow flag though, sector 2. That is Mike's gone round, but he's managed to get the car going again. Oh, just about. No damage by the looks of it. So that's his sort of learning those intermediate tyres. I'll tell you what, Dom has caught up to the back, but Dom's decided, okay, I'm quicker, but he's seen the way that the people on the intermediate tyres have closed up. Thomas are doing the 122s now. Let's have a look at the fastest laps that these guys are doing at the minute. So the people who have pitted, well, Liquid Gas has actually gone 3/10 quicker than Thomas now, and he has set the fastest lap of the race. Everyone else is about the 24-25, so up to 3 seconds a lap slower than those on the intermediates. Wow, that's critical. I think let's get rid of all of that information, because now it's just a question of when Thomas can get through on Vexman. And I say Liquid Gas has set the fastest lap of the race. He may have done, but the gap has really dropped. He must have had a moment. Maybe into turn 1. Maybe I broke himself a little bit. Wow, look at the Mercedes drifting, struggling and scrambling for every scrap of grip that is left with those worn, wet tyres. But Thomas is going to have... Oh, I thought he was going to have a look into turn 11 then. No DRS, of course, just yet. We'll know when it's drying up if that ever does get enabled. But the grip that he has, so much more than the Mercedes ahead of him. You'd have to say it's a foregone conclusion. And I think Vexman, I see what he was trying to do, but he's bailed early, he's done his intentions. But there's Jack. That's held Thomas up long enough by a good second, and Jack goes even quick on this lap. He's gained a second now on Thomas. Is the charge on? We saw it in Mexico. where the difference in strategies. Thomas charging down. But Mike now sets the fastest lap of the race. Great lap for Mike. He's on the inters as well. I think Moses had to pit. He has. He's put the intermediates on as well. This is good practice for Monster, you must say. I know he's a minute down from the leaders. I know that. He will not be amused by that, and I'm sorry for mentioning it, Andrew. But good practice in these wet conditions to learn racing lines, to learn the feel of how the tyres wear a little bit as well, as the track really does change because it starts ramping up. Everyone's using the racing line. No one's sort of venturing off, because even though in reality, when you do have a bit of wet weather, they do take a wet racing line, but on F124, not so much. They did try to make it that you could go offline and cool tyres down. I've not really seen it work in online lobbies, I'll be perfectly honest, unless somebody else has. Please do get that into the YouTube chat and let me know if you can say that, okay, if you go offline, try and cool the tyres, if it actually works or not. But I'm not actually sure that it does. Wow, now then, top two trading fastest laps. Gaps have opened up a little bit. Mike's closing now on his teammate. They're the closest cars on track now after all these pit stops. Grimaud not really happy with these inters. He's dropped off the back of his teammate, but pulled away from Blood Diamond. So we've got the V-Carbs and the Astons occupying the top four positions. Then the Red Bulls of these two, Dom and Mike, being a good pairing this season. Unfortunately, some of the results not quite gone their way, but yeah, they've had a really good season between them and helped each other out a lot as well, which is really good to see. So had some really good teamwork. So after pit stops, oh, Mike goes very, very wide. How on earth you kept that on track, Mike? I have no idea. Congratulations on that one. Great car control in these very, very tricky conditions. But all of these gaps now, everyone's just sort of managing them. I know they're pushing. I know they're trying to close them, because we are racers at the end of the day, so we are going to try and close every gap we possibly can. Thomas at the 20.2, that obliterated the previous fast lap from Jack. He's pulled that gap up to nearly 3 seconds once again. It has reached the 3 second mark. We're only a third of the way through the race. The rain's still coming down just a little bit, very light now compared to what it was, of course, at the start. Drivers now just trying to keep hold of the tyres as long as they possibly can, because of the way that this track is drying. Look at that drying line now. We can see it from the helicopter shots. Never mind this on board that we had there with Blood Diamond. So this is now where they're just, because the track's drying, the tyres are nice and warm, they've got the confidence there now. The drivers are going to be prone to pushing that little bit more, but they've got to be careful doing that, because mistakes can easily come, because it is still very, very slippy indeed. Especially when it seems that we haven't seen a respite in the rain yet. So, if it does begin to stop, I'm inclined to say that it might. It's going to be interesting to see who's got the sets of mediums, even the sets of hards. If it stops soon enough, will we see the hard tyres, which are going to be very, very tricky to warm up in these cooler conditions, but they will go to the end. Who was that that's pitted in the background? Was that one of the... It was Mike's pitted. Just about got his car stopped in time. But we saw him have a few moments. He was struggling a little bit with the overall balance and the grip of that Red Bull, so he's decided to pit. Has he gone for another set of inters? He has. So I'm just wondering, with the Red Bull of Mike doing that the rain will stop. You do have 4 sets of intermediate tyres, of course, so that's a couple for him. But this is going to be interesting to see what he can do, if he can keep those now, Mike, as long as he can go, because that will maybe put him out of sequence. But it's going to be interesting to see if anybody will do anything soon. But Mike was one of the later ones to pit, so going to be interesting to see what he does, and if he goes long, or if anybody's going to follow suit and pit very, very soon. We are in the 19s now. Thomas with a 19.6 on that last lap. Really good lap. So that track really starting to ramp up with the overall grip that it's got. And of course, fuel starting to come off a little bit as well. Oh, Mike's got a 3-second warning. Wow. First one of the race, 14 laps in. It'd be interesting to see if any drivers do actually have any warnings because of the slippy nature of the conditions. If they've just slid a little bit wide. We saw a few people invalidate their lap times in qualifying. But of course now, different kettle of fish this one, isn't it, folks? And speaking of fish, it was good weather. But I tell you what, offline, that track is starting to look a little bit drier. It's not as clear-cut in terms of where the racing line is as it was even a lap ago. So is that rain now starting to get a bit lighter? It doesn't look it. You can still see the rain on the ground, but it does look as though the track is getting quicker. Liquid Gas now responds to Thomas's previous lap time with a 19.5. 2 tenths quicker than the previous fastest lap, so those guys are going to be trading. Grimo now on his own, but he's got Dom for company, Blood Diamond. It's interesting, Dom's closed that gap up. I don't know if Blood Diamond had a moment somewhere. He was only about 3 and a bit seconds off the back of Grimo, and now that gap's eked up to 6 seconds. I could have had a big slide somewhere on the previous lap, and that's given Dom a sniff of that 4th spot. Of course, had a fantastic qualifying session. Difficult opening stint, as have many drivers. But oh, look at Blood Diamond drifting through turn 8 and just couldn't keep it, and that's just allowed Dom to go around the outside into turn 8. Yeah, struggling now for the grip, and that does look like it's getting drier. I don't think it's slicks time. Well, definitely not slicks time. It's still raining. That would be suicide. A double dare monster to go and put a set of hard tyres on. Sorry, Andrew, couldn't resist. Thomas now, look at that, 18.8. The lap times are starting to tumble now, folks. Still 8 seconds slower than what we saw in qualifying. You always expect a decent gap between that. Of course, fuel loads and the tyre wear itself makes a big difference, but to be 8 seconds off, it's getting there, folks, isn't it? We saw the 22s earlier, even the 125s, and now with the lap times really coming down now. So but Diamond just keeping on going. You know he's struggling with the rear grip. It looked like the traction on that V-carb wasn't great. But still fighting on. Vexman next behind him, 4.4 seconds further back. We're going to be interested to see what Mike's going to do about Vexman, because that gap's 30 seconds. We're interested to see if that closes. Mike did pit, didn't he? He's on the fresher rubber than Vexman. There he is, Vexman. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2. Oh, it was Blood Diamond. We said he was struggling for grip. He seems to have got away with it. Doesn't seem to be any damage on that V-carb, unless it's front damage that we don't see. But looks okay. Wow, 18.5 now. These lap times really are coming. He's pulled a second now to Liquid Gas. And that gap at 4 seconds. The top two pulled away a little bit from Grimo. But Blood Diamond really struggling for grip. But Mike's struggling as well. He's not closed that gap. That was 30 seconds. I don't know if he's had a moment as well pushing. Oh, speaking of the devil. Wow. Good car control for Mike. It's not really what he wanted to be doing. I'm pretty sure of it. But that Red Bull struggling overall. Blood Diamond has now decided to pit and bail on those tyres. Don't blame him at all. But that was too difficult. What's he going? He's going for the medium tyres. He's the first one to blink. He's thought, why not? He may as well risk it. Now then, what's this going to be like? What is the grip going to be like? Let's We'll leave him on his outlap while he gets some heat into the tyres. We'll leave Blood Diamond alone. Fingers crossed for him that there's enough grip, because that rain's still there, still lingering, but it's definitely lighter. From the helicopter shot, you can see it there. Obviously, it's still coming sideways across the camera shot, but the lap times are coming down quite a lot. Thomas is loving it. Liquid Gas is now pitted. Instead of watching it, actually, why not? Let's go and have a look. What is the man in second place? They look like medium tyres as well. They are medium tyres. Jack's gone on the dry tyres. Slow stop from him. We'll leave that be. But Dom now. Oh, Dom has set a good lap time. Wow, good, great lap from Dom there. 18.3. So Mike, I didn't realise that's why Mike was struggling. Apologies, Mike, you were on the mediums already. I missed that completely. I do apologise. We just had a purple middle sector, and that is now the rain is enough. There is DRS. It is enabled. I don't think anybody's anywhere near the DRS range of anybody around them, but that is going to be crucial. That says it's dry enough. That means, is this a master stroke from Blood Diamond and Liquid Gas? Well, Mike's just set the fast lap, in the 17s, so that does say it is about time for the dry tyres. Now then, 18 laps to go. What will our leader do? The gap was 4 seconds. Is this key now for him to come down? Is it too early? He is going to pit. He's pitting. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. Who is it? It's Liquid Gas. It's Jack, and he's lost half his front wing as well. So, was that a lap too early for the Aston Martin man? The grip wasn't quite there, and this is going to force another pit stop from the Aston, but the other Aston is in the pits now. Dom, no, you've got a 10-second penalty for speeding. That's not what you need to be doing, my friend. Oh, blow my neck, Dom. And you're going to have to save that later as well, because you can't save it straight away either. Vexman stayed out another lap. We saw him do this when the crossover happened from, Liquid Gas 10 seconds as well. Oh, it's all going wrong for Jack and for Dom this evening. But we saw Vexman stay out that little bit longer when the crossover happened from the wets to the inters. Cost him a bit of time, but not too much. So I'd imagine it, but because of the difference when you've got the dry tyres on, I'd imagine he'll be coming in very, very soon. Gas now comes out in 7th, as Monster unfortunately has been lapped now by Thomas. But Thomas started 4th on the grid so far this race. In the first 19 laps, he's been absolutely flawless. He drove like a man possessed, pitted at the right time, came through the field at the right time, and just balanced his pace and did very well. Wow, Vexman's still staying out. That's interesting. We'll leave him be. But Dom now, actually. Yes, the Red Bull closing down on Grimo, and the Aston Martin wasn't close enough for the DRS that time round, but really pushing on. He's got a lot more confidence, look at that, than Grimo had. A little bit deep, but now in the 15s, Blood Diamond has set the fastest lap. I'm sure Thomas, his teammate, will go into that Mike setting now fast lap. We're going to see these tumble, I'd imagine, every time somebody crosses the start and finish line. But Dom all over the back. He is very, very happy with his setup. Oh, but when he does that, he's got a 3-second warning and he's lost it. And the entrance managed to keep it at the barrier. But he's going to be kicking himself with that one. Not just the penalty, but the fact he went that little bit wide. Couldn't get it under control. Tried to keep the car turning. It's very, very difficult to do over that curve. You sort of want to straighten out a little bit and just straight line that corner and just sort of take your medicine when you go a little bit wide there. Monster now with the fastest lap. Good lap from him. Give him a bit of confidence, I'm sure. Now Vexman does pit. Finally. So everybody on the medium tyres. Hi Vexman. probably some of the others could still go to the end. 15 laps remaining. Mike may struggle. Let's get rid of those. But yeah, Mike may struggle to get it to the end. He's a lot more worn in terms of usage than anyone else. But there's a potential then to use a set of soft tyres, and we've had a green flag race so far. I'm trying not to jinx it too much because I jinxed Jack once or twice already. And I've already jinxed Monster very badly this season in Australia, which... So I can't remember who it was found it funny. I think he sort of he found the funny side, but he didn't enjoy it. So I'm not going to do anything to do with Monster, because it'll come back to haunt me. Now then, 1:14s. We're nearly onto some of the early qualifying pace. And Thomas now 16.8 seconds gap to Grimo. Keeps going at this pace. He'll have a free pit stop by the time we reach lap 30. Well, Grimo responds very well indeed. Some of the closest battles on track. We've got Vexman on the last to pit. He's going up behind Blood Diamond. This could be an intriguing little battle. Vexman, as I say, a lot fresher tyres. Only by a couple of laps, but they'll still make a difference. They'll still be at the best, where Blood Diamond's just those couple of laps will just be slightly past the peak, but they'll be consistent, and they'll remain that way for a couple more laps. But I thought with the rain coming in May, some drivers may sort of gamble to go for the hard tyres to make them comfortably last towards the end, but it can be a bit of a tyre killer here, the high speed nature, the loads that they're putting through the tyres, but at the same time it's quite a soft surface, so it doesn't usually use a huge amount of wear, so it's quite balanced. It's a difficult sort of track to work out which tyres are best, and of course the low grip situation that you will have had means that the risk would have been there to take the hard tyres in that warm-up phase while the track's very, very slippy. Dom now sets the fastest lap on his charge to the back of the Aston Martin once again. Gets within a second. Didn't have the DRS though. But I mentioned the lap times are going to keep on falling, and they certainly are. 13 more laps to go. And a little bit of action. Grimo dropping off the back still of Thomas. Thomas just been absolutely in command of this race. Had a good little back with Jack early on, and then Jack just couldn't sort of get things working on the intermediate tyres. Had that spin and the wing damage on his first lap out, and I wonder if this set of mediums is his worn set from qualifying. That's going to be interesting, and that will really have upset him if it is, because of course he'll have had fresh mediums to start with when he first pitted. Of course that damage, which means he had to take that pit again. So just see what he can do to get it towards the end. But Dom now very, very close. You heard the little beep. You see the finger move on the steering wheel of the Red Bull, and now the DRS for the first time in this race we see in operation. And Dom sets a fast lap and passes Grimo into second place. For position and on the road, folks. Don't forget, this is not to do with pit stops. No one's out of position here. It's going to be interesting to see what Dom is running very, very well. Loves this circuit. You can see it clearly. This pace that he's got. Grimo struggling just to keep up with him straight away. Next one's dropped off the back of Blood Diamond. That now gaps back up to over 2 seconds. Liquid Gas struggling to actually close on Mike as well, fully enough. He wants to do well in 8th. He hasn't sort of let the leader disappear too far into the distance, so keeping his pace up really, really well. I think he'll be happy that it's a bit drier than it was at the start. But Dom sets another purple middle sector. So the man in the Red Bull absolutely flying at this moment in time. Having a really good race. And a few more gaps further down the field. Blood Diamond now 3 second warning. Ooh, must have run a little bit wide off Kumo. And And that just starts bouncing you over that exit curb as well. That's really, really difficult once you're on there to get off it. That used to easily spin you. It used to be sort of almost like a tabletop is the best way to describe that exit curb, wasn't it? It was one that used to, if you went over that exit curb too much, the car would start bouncing and bottoming out, and then you could easily spin. And with the banking, you've got a one-way ticket to the inside barrier. And that was game over. Because very difficult to get back on track as well with the angle of the banking of how steep it is. But Vexman's starting to close now again. There they are in shot on the back of Blood Diamond. We saw Blood Diamond struggle with his intermediates, didn't we, towards the end of his stint. So maybe just trying to look after the rears a little bit more this time round. That gap from Thomas and Dom just bounced around that 17-second mark. Grimmo dropped off the back. Liquid Gas is now starting to close a little bit on Mike, but not by a huge amount that we used to see from Jack, but take nothing away from Mike at all. As I mentioned, a few penalties. Let's just go to them now with 10 laps to go. It's 13 seconds for Dom because he had that speeding in the pit lane, so he's still got to take his medicine with that one. And the 3 seconds after that, so that could drop him behind. Well, actually, could drop him back down to third, the way things are. Depends what Vexman can do about Blood Diamond, and then, of course, his 3 seconds. Oh, Monster's had a spin. Further back, it's just a yellow flag, though. He's continued on. Hopefully not too much damage for the Ferrari man. But then 3 seconds for Mike Taylor and the 10-second course speeding in the pit lane for the Aston Martin of Liquid Gas. But Monster kept it out the barriers. Well done. So he's continued on his way. There's our leader. 9 more laps to go of Season 9 in MRS. And Thomas, another extraordinary display. Change tyres at the right time. Push when needs be. And has just been absolutely clinical. Once more. Oh, Mike now got a 10-second penalty for speeding. So that's an interesting one. Only on the basis that... Oh, he's gone for soft tyres. Okay, if they're last, fair play. So he's gone for the softs. Looking at the tyres now. Blood Diamond's now the one with the oldest tyres. Vexman's now only got 6 laps because he did stay out that little bit longer. So that 4-lap difference will make a difference, really. Oh, no! There's been contact. Blood Diamond lost the rear. You could see the rear sliding, and Vexman had nowhere to go, nothing he could do. Collected the back, and they both go round. Hopefully there's not too much damage. There's a bit of carbon fibre. Oh, that's horrible. It's not what you want to see. Thomas is pitted. So those mediums, not really going further than 9 or 10 laps before they start to fall off. But Thomas hasn't lost many places. He's only lost 1 to Dom, and Dom got that huge penalty. So almost a free pit stop. He's come out ahead of Grimmo. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. That was Monster moving out the way and letting the drivers on the lead lap through. When you're having a race and it's a bit difficult and you're at the back, I feel for Monster. I've been there before. It is frustrating. But you just sort of you don't mind being lapped at times. You don't want to sort of overtake, sort of get back past them, even if you've got fresher tyres or you suddenly have the pace. You just sort of don't want to do that because then you just think, well, actually, I have to do a lap less than everyone else and it's over a little bit sooner. So you kind of just go, yeah, that'll do. I'll take it. But, oh, Monster in the background. Those tyres are not going well, and that is definite wing damage for the Ferrari man. Those rears have definitely been cooked now. That will be a pit stop for the Ferrari man. Still got to finish, though, because there are still points on offer. I'm sure he'll put on a set of soft tyres. Maybe another set of mediums, but the sun's now coming out. Look at that, folks. Look at the difference we had from 40 minutes ago, where it was torrential rain, wet weather tyres, people sliding, scrabbling for grip. Vexman has stayed out. Blood Diamonds decided to pit. Monster has as well. He's gone with another set of mediums. Probably a smart move. I think that's the best move rather than the soft tyres. I don't know how well the softs will last. As Mike said, it's a 112.1 in response to me saying that. So thanks for that, Mike. Much appreciated. I'm sure Thomas is going to be flying as well now. I'm sure that fastest lap is something that he'll be looking for. I must admit, I'm more with Monster, I think, going with the mediums rather than the soft tyres. We saw drivers there struggling after 8 to 9 laps for the rear grip. It just wasn't there, and forced them to make a stop. So, by the time we got left, I would have said the mediums will be the safer bet. The ones that are going to go comfortably, or a bit more comfortably to the end, because I think the softs, maybe after 4 or 5 laps, could start to struggle that little bit more. But Thomas hasn't really charged down Dom. And he doesn't need to, but he hasn't quite charged down. Grimmer, you'd have to say, is in the right place. Let's just go back to the position changes. Oops, that was penalties. There we go. So yeah, Grimmer's in the right place. He's got 18 seconds over Vexman, who hasn't pitted. His teammate does, but a hefty penalty of 10 seconds for liquid gas. Mike's got a hefty penalty, so does Blood Diamond as well. So Grimmer's could potentially be on for a second place, which would be a very good result for him and a good one for Aston Martin to cement their P2 in the Constructors. He won't pass his teammate, but he could cement the top 3 as well in the drivers. Well, Vexman's, like I mentioned before, started at the back of the grid in 4th. He had that contact, unfortunately, with Blood Diamond. That was just pure bad luck, I think. Thomas now gets the fastest lap of the race up the back of the sister car of the Red Bull. But yeah, Vexman doing well. Up 4 spots, maybe trying to take these tyres to the end. He's had 3 already, 2 stops. He's on 9 laps, like I say. He was a bit fresher on those mediums than anyone else, but I think now people on the medium tyres probably just going to try and eke this out to the end. 5 more laps to go. They may not feel great, but I'd imagine that's just what they're going to try and do. Because people like, let's say Dom there, he'll still come out on the podium as it stands with his penalties. It's worth him staying out because he'll know that Vexman's still on the mediums. He'll know that he hasn't pitted. He may not see liquid gas in his delta, but he'll still, well, if he's listening to this, he'll know the gap differences, but he may know the liquid gas has also got a penalty. So let's have a quick look now at the penalty situation. Dom's left the session again. Oh no, Dom. You could have been on for a podium. Hopefully your car doesn't slow down too much. I don't know what the AI is actually set at. But that is heartbreak for him. He hasn't ghosted, of course. Hopefully Dom can get back in once again. But that's going to give Grimo a bit of life to come through and close the gap. But 25 seconds is the gap to Vexman. Will Vexman see that? Will Vexman then sniff a podium at the end of this race if he can close the gap to Dom? Because Dom needs to get back in the session soon and needs to take control of his car if it's possible at all. Mike with another 3 seconds. That's 16 to his name. So that will allow Blood Diamond to come through and take that 6th place from Mike. Liquid Gas still got I'm trying to work out. He's just about safe at the minute. He might need to want to speed up a little bit if he possibly can to close the gap to Vexman and pull away from Blood Diamond to make that a little bit more comfortably than it has been. I'm just trying to see if Dom's come back into session. Hopefully he has, but only a couple more laps to go now. The drivers can smell the finish. And their season, the checkered flag coming down on this season. It has been a season of fantastic races, some very, very good racing from all of these drivers. All the drivers a bit of bad luck. There'll be chances they'll be ruining, I'm sure. But Thomas, the standout performer this season, now with a commanding lead, just needs to bring it home. No penalties once again for the V-Carb man. He's doing what he needs to do. He's got the fastest lap at the minute. He does. Only by 300ths of a second actually for Mike Taylor. But still, another maximum points for the V-Carb man, just cementing the season that he's had. There's a quick look at the tyres again, folks. For anybody who didn't know, Gummer has closed that gap to Dom, but I think it's because Dom isn't in the session. He would have gained that position regardless, just down to the fact that he's got that penalty to come. But Vexman's closed it down quite a lot. Let's go back to those penalties. That's now 19 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, call it. That has come down a bit. 7 seconds in 2 laps isn't unheard of, especially if any tyres fall away towards the end. So Vexman could still sniff a podium. And I tell you what, the gap between Liquid Gas and Blood Diamond is very, very close indeed for 7 seconds. It's about 8, give or take. Blood Diamond has a good couple of laps. Tell you what, Liquid Gas could lose out and Blood Diamond could gain 2 places up into 5th rather than just the spot he's going to gain at this moment in time from Mike. So there's still a few places due to penalties that are up for grabs. Gummer's going to try to get through on Dom as quick as he possibly can while Dom is not in the car. Oh, I don't know, the way the car was moving, it sounds like maybe Dom is back in the car. Very, very snaky indeed and going defensive. Grimmer looking a bit more comfortable now at this stage. That gap now is still 18 seconds. It has come down, but not enough for Vexman to try to sneak the final podium place as we're on the final lap. Our leader's gone through tires and turn 1. Grimmer pulls to the inside, late braking. Does he get the car stopped in time? Just about. Oh, he loses the rear though and has a collision with the wall. Oh, Grimmer, that's not what you needed. I don't know if he just got a little bit... Looked like he was still under brakes. The rear just wasn't happy. Locked up. All that hard work. Absolutely Grimmer. But Dom had to slow down. Now I've got to do some real maths. Hang on. We've got a 4 going on. Wow, this is going to be very, very close between Dom now and Vexman. Because of Dom slowing, Dom avoiding Grimmo in the wall, trying to not get collected or not to hit the Aston Martin as well. Grimmo really struggling. But we'll come back to that and try and work that out in a moment because the curtain drops and the fireworks will go for Thomas, the season champion, season 9 MOS, weaving across the line in celebration. Another flawless drive from that man. What a race it has been. What a season it has been. I think Dom's going to lose second. He's going to lose the podium. That gap is not enough. Dom Walsh has taken the 10 seconds, but he had 13, so Grimmo does take it. What about Vexman? Is it going to be close enough? Is it going to be Vexman on the podium? Is it going to be Dom? It is. It's Vexman on the podium. Right at the death. Vexman gets it. Liquid Gas gets in fifth. But what about Blood Diamond? Is he going to be able to jump Liquid Gas? I think he's backed off a little bit, or maybe went out of fuel, so he hasn't. It's Blood Diamond in sixth. Mike in seventh. Monster now. A few laps down, crosses the line in eighth, and 4 points for him. Unlucky, Dom. Really unlucky for you, my friend. That was so close to being a podium. Oh, heartbreak, mate. Really, really difficult. Thomas gets the driver of the day from the game. And let's be honest, he was flawless, wasn't he, ladies and gents? He just, not a mistake was made. He just commanded it in the wet conditions and then in the dry as well. Timed his pit stops to perfection. And he takes the win once more as the season finale and the curtain closes for MRS for a couple of weeks. We may have a week or two break, but we'll be back very, very soon. You better believe it. Hopefully some new drivers as well as we get into season 10 of this lovely Crossplay League. The rain is now coming back down, but there we go. Before any potential stewards' inquiries, Thomas takes the win and the fastest lap once again. Grimo takes second. Vexman gets third in the end from Dom. So unlucky to not be able to hold on to that podium, but great race from Vexman, must be said, from last on the grid to take third in the end. Great racing from him. Liquid Gas, so unlucky from him. He's started on pole now, finishes in fifth. Blood Diamond in sixth, then Mike in seventh, then Monster. Difficult race for him. He'll be glad it's over, I am sure. In eighth. And there we are, folks. We are done. Season 9. MRS is over. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the drivers who have taken part this season. We had some incredible racing. Singapore stands out for me, where we had some incredible races under the lights there, and some standout performances from Jack, from Grimo, and from Thomas, not to mention Blood Diamond and all of the other drivers as well. Japan was another good one, to my memory, as well early in the season. But there we are, folks. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please don't forget to hit the like button. And we will see you very, very soon. Don't forget to search the MRS channel on YouTube. And even if we're not got any videos, which we don't, please subscribe. And then you will know when we start going live and we start getting that up and running. So thank you, everybody. We look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. From me, take care and good night.